Good evening. Welcome to Way Park Planning Commission. Can we start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Roll call, we're missing Sean. Approved agenda for Tuesday, March 9th. Any additions or?
Just one brief miscellaneous item at the end, just to discuss upcoming workshop opportunity for Planning Commission members.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. We got a motion and a second to approve agenda. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, passed with all present. Conditional use. The Way Park Planning Commission will hold a meeting at City Hall, 19 13th Avenue North at 6:30 or soon thereafter, Tuesday, March 9th, 2021, to hear the following request. The request of Tommy Express Car Wash for the conditional use permit to construct and operate a freestanding car wash business in a B2 commercial business district. The subject property is described as lots 2, 3, 4, blocks 2 Whitney Garden lots, all in the city of Way Park, Stearns County, Minnesota. The property is addressed as 17 2nd Avenue North. Public hearings opened at 6:31.
Mr. Chair, Planning Commission members, anyone watching tonight. This property, commonly known as the American Legion site at 17 2nd Avenue, we've got a general location map on the screen here, but I think most folks probably interested are familiar with the location. It's been marketed by the Legion organization for at least the past year or so, and staff has received some different inquiries onto potential redevelopment options. The current Legion building under the proposal here would be demolished as the American Legion considers options for potentially continuing operations elsewhere within the community. In the underlying B2 General Commercial Business District, a car wash is considered as a conditional use. In this case, the size and the configuration of the property as a corner lot lends itself well to the redevelopment as a car wash facility due to the involved ingress and egress points. There would be no new accesses involved with the site proposal, and no access points on Division Street would be permitted. Division Street is under the jurisdiction of Stearns County, and they're very, very unlikely to permit any access there, but none is being requested. The use of the property as a car wash was previously reviewed by city staff, and staff determined that the traffic flow and egress onto 2nd Avenue North would be acceptable, although we would recommend locating the access point as far north as possible to give maximum distance from Division Street to allow for some stacking of vehicles, particularly those coming out of the facility and trying to get onto Division Street heading south. This proposal achieves that goal in the proposed site plan and does utilize a single entry and exit point, so it's got pretty good flow through the site. That access point is also kind of mid-northern, that it's not too close to Division Street, but it also maintains some decent distance between the residential property to the north. The hours of operations are proposed 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily, with 2 or 3 employees working at the site or at the property at any given time. Per the applicant's submittal information, Tommy's Express Car Wash is a 3-lane automated express car wash that offers single washes as well as a kind of a membership option where customers pay a monthly fee for unlimited wash package. Utilizing that membership allows use of an express lane that allows a license plate reader technology that allows them to get through the wash more quickly than usual. The wash itself takes about 2 to 3 minutes and uses a conveyor system that can fit multiple vehicles with minimal stacking and getting cars through quickly and efficiently. The business also offers free vacuums to the customers. Those are located on, you can see on the parking stalls on the eastern side of the property. The site proposes 11 vacuums on that side. We have had preliminary designs and elevations submitted for the property. These are not absolutely finalized necessarily, but they're intended as a reference point. So we do know that in a case like this, there is a little bit of subject to change as things would be finalized, but staff would recommend a condition of approval that the building permit reflects substantially similar or the same to those submitted at this time. The proposed designs and materials would be acceptable for the applicable commercial zoning district. This property is serviced by a 2-inch water line, which applicants have noted is acceptable for their purposes, and our engineering and public works staff have not expressed any concerns with. The site plan also depicts a compliant buffer space at the north end of the property. You can see here, in the northern area, you have a handful of parking stalls, 5 stalls, the refuse dumpster enclosure in the corner, and then the traffic flow in and out. When we have a commercial district that abuts a residential district, for anything new or redeveloped, we will work to get them in compliance with the buffering standard to provide that bit of green space. 15-foot minimum is per the city code, with then some fencing, plantings, basically a screening plan to provide that little bit of transition and give a little bit of space from the owner to the north. In this case, I think this is would be a marked improvement over what's there now. The Legion site does have an old car shop. I believe it was some sort of a service center or gas station or both. And then the parking lot for the Legion itself that runs basically right up to the adjacent residential property. So I think this would pose an improvement to that, certainly with getting that buffer in there, and then a combination of fencing and screening to bring it in compliance with city code. There's also a sidewalk that would be proposed along the eastern portion of the property, which was encouraged by city staff during earlier conversations with the applicants. The sidewalk would be particularly beneficial, being a connection and filling a gap in the sidewalk system between Division Street and the existing sidewalk further north to the site. It was something that was identified when we looked at this, and any time we get a chance, we try to fill in those gaps in the system. Always try to have a sidewalk on at least one side of the street. The applicants were open to that consideration, which was appreciated. Staff does not have any concerns with the proposal, and given the nature of the business and the commercial location, does not believe there needs to be a significant amount of associated conditions. But we do have several that we think would be good in this scenario. My recommendation would be for approval of the conditional use permit with the following conditions. 1, final building permit plan submittals shall reflect building designs and materials the same or substantially similar to those reviewed with conditional use permit application, subject to review and approval of planning and community development director. Number 2, proposal shall incorporate any and all requirements to deal with generated wastewater for the facility per city, state, and other applicable governing body requirements as per city engineer, city public works director, and any other local permitting authority. Number 3, signage and lighting upon the property shall adhere to all city ordinance standards. Number 4, separate permitting is required for all signage upon the property, and window signage is limited to not more than 50% of window area. That condition is just a city ordinance standard, but because it's not common knowledge, we try to put it out there. Number 5, incorporation of public sidewalk as depicted in submitted site plan shall be required. Number 6, a landscaping plan for the northern buffer area compliant with city code section 52.27, Subdivision 7F regarding areas abutting residential districts shall be submitted for review approval of Planning and Community Development Director and ultimately incorporated into building permit application and implemented as approved. Lastly, number 7, a snow storage and removal plan and/or removal plan shall be submitted for review approval by city staff and followed as approved. Snow may not be piled at edge of parking lot nearest intersection to ensure pedestrian and traffic visibility. Those being the recommended conditions, I would recommend approval of the request with those in mind, and we can open it up for any questions. I believe the applicant representation is here this evening, and he should be able to answer any questions I can't as well, or offer insights. Yes, sir.
And who maintains the sidewalk?
The sidewalk would be maintained by the city. It is in city right of way.
Anybody have anything to comment? Come up to the podium, state your name and address.
Yeah, hello, my name is Tanner Brandt. I work for Christensen Companies, the developer. Address is 3313E 5th Way East, Fargo, North Dakota. We're a developer based out of there. John kind of laid everything out, so I'm just here to answer any questions if you have anything for me.
On your exit, is that where the blowers or dryers are located? Are they contained in the building somewhat, or?
Yes, they are. The blowers and dryers are all, yep, they're all inside the building at the end of the tunnel.
Just asking because we have neighbors to the north that are residential, and I don't believe we got anybody here objecting to your plan, but I know in the summer at 7 o'clock in the morning, some people have windows open, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we typically don't have many issues with noise complaints, or I think we have some of that information. There's typically not much of an issue there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'm curious about the snow storage, the removal area where you're gonna be putting that.
Yeah, I believe we can probably use a portion of that up on the north, and then if we also need to, haul it somewhere else or remove it, we can do that as well.
Is that like employee parking up there in that spot there?
There's the employee parking, then we also have, I believe that'll just be green space over just right next to there, and then just to the north of it there.
And just to elaborate, the city doesn't have any issue with storing the snow on a green space, for the winter season. Our main objective is to ensure that it doesn't get piled at the intersection where it becomes a visibility issue. Most of the time, most years, it's not a concern, but when we get really heavy snowfall, like we had a couple years ago, then it starts to get problematic, and we get, near misses and unfortunate hits at intersections when people can't see each other getting on and off.
I guess if you want to step over, he got a comment he wants to make? State your name and.
My name's Marcus Anderson. I own the 2 properties to the north of this, and so I just wanted to hear a little bit about it. And I'm sorry, John, I had a hard time understanding or hearing, so if you've already covered something, I apologize, but just a few simple questions. One is, what kind of sight barrier will there be on the north end of the property? There's going to be car lights shining on my white house right to the north there, and so on. So I'm just concerned that, that there is a sight barrier there, and so I believe that's taken care of. Is that correct?
What we'll require, because this is a transitional area between, the Legion site is zoned commercial and your properties are zoned residential, I believe. So it triggers that buffer. So we'll require fencing and then some combination of landscaping on the car wash side of it. It wouldn't be put on your side. But basically, you'd have a fence and then some trees on the inside of that fence as well. And that's got to be at least 3 feet high, but we usually prefer to go 6 because that gives that extra buffer or extra blockage for vehicle lights.
Sure. Okay, the other thing is, where's all the water gonna go? You know, what kind of drainage system and so on, a car wash is gonna have a lot of water running through it. Is the sewer system capable of handling all that, or what?
I can let the applicant speak to the specifics of that a little bit, but I can tell you in the discussion with our public works and our city engineer, they didn't have any issues with the amount and kind of the water system they'd be using, but Tanner, if you could maybe elaborate on that a little bit. Gets outside my area here.
Yeah, I know we've had some of those discussions just with the engineers, and we, just based on what we know, the sewage and the stubs are the correct size for what we need it for. We don't envision many issues. These are pretty efficient. They reclaim a lot of the water that goes through the wash and reuse it in different ways, so they're pretty efficient in that way, and we don't foresee there being any issues with any utilities.
And there would be more thorough review as they come in for a permit, as plans finalize, so that's gonna be under additional scrutiny of those folks as well.
Yeah, so if there is a water problem, it'll impact my properties right away here, so that's why I asked the question here.
Yep, understandable.
And I thought I heard that there were only gonna be 2 employees on site, is that correct, or?
2 to 3.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and then you've got that parking lot primarily for employees, correct, or?
Yep, up on the north side is primarily for employees, and then there's the vacuum spaces that can be used for customers. But there's never anybody going inside the building with the employees.
Okay. So where are your employees gonna smoke, is what I wonder.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll find,
Okay, well, you know, depending on if they're hanging out on the north side, that impacts my stuff, but,
oh,
yeah. No, I don't have any other questions. I think you've answered everything, and so that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I have one more question for you. This is a conveyor belt, is how this works? Now, do people stay in their vehicles, or do you have some place for them to stay?
No. They stay in their vehicles the entire time. You go through and, there's the older chain and roller type conveyors that, cover your tire and that can sometimes cause damage. This is more like a magic carpet where you just put your 2 wheels on and it pulls you right through. You stay in your car the entire time. Takes about 3 minutes to get through, and then you're in and you're done.
So there's no common area for customers or any of that kind of?
Nope, nobody gets outside of their vehicle, so we don't even have there's a public restroom, but there's nowhere for the employees to go in the building. It's just the employee and then maybe a maintenance person. And they can go through if they have the Tommy membership app, they can just drive up, it'll read their license plate and allow them to go right through, and then you're in and out pretty quickly.
You have a couple locations already in Minnesota. I believe Rochester was one, and then there's one somewhere in the Twin Cities Metro, if I recall.
Yep, we just opened one up in Mounds View, and we're should be opening up one in Duluth shortly as well.
Question, on average, how many of your customers after coming out of the wash go to the vacuums? Is there any possibility of backlog there?
I think on this site, we have more, it's on the higher end we typically have about 7 to 15 vacuums. Here we've got 11. That's a pretty good number where there's typically not much of an issue there. And if they need to, stop and wait, they can and wait for the next person. But a good amount of people use them, but they're typically not, our office is right next to one in Fargo, and there's, typically a quarter of them are full, and maybe a little more sometimes, but there's rarely any backup when you have 11 of them. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You can go ahead and sit down.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ready to get a motion to close public hearing?
So
Motion
moved.
to close.
I'll second that motion.
Second, and I got a motion and a second to close public hearing. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passed with all present at 6:49.
And we expect that this item will go to the city council, because as happenstance would have it, there's a council meeting scheduled for next Monday, the 15th, so we expect to have this item on that agenda, 6:30 PM here.
Commissioners, got any more conversation?
Chair, since there seems to be no opposition to the proposed proposal, and all the questions seem to have been adequately answered, I guess I would make a motion for approval of the conditional use permit with the attached recommendations.
I would second that.
I got a motion to second to approve with conditions. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Passed with all present. Thank you.
Thank you
very
both.
much. Very much. Welcome to Wake Park.
It sounds like a nice facility.
It does. Council, or excuse me, commission members, the only other item I had, you may know, some of you may have seen, I know some of you have seen, I passed along a training opportunity that has been organized by my counterpart in St. Joseph for the area cities for planning commissioners. It's more oriented towards new planning commissioners, but there's perhaps some value as just a refresher course for planning commissioner service and kind of the, the statutes and guidelines that guide your service. That will be next Monday, the 15th, and it is a Zoom meeting, but my thought was, I know we have at least a couple people interested. If there's enough interest, I thought perhaps I could organize something here at City Hall where we could use one of our larger meeting rooms that's set up for socially distanced meeting now, and we could put it on the screen and do that meeting together for those interested. If there's an interest, there's no obligation at all, there's no fee, it's just a training opportunity. It's been a while since we've had any come across the wire, so I wanted to put it out there. If there's an interest, I can certainly set that up. I think we have that room free. But you don't have to tell me now, but just digest it and I'll follow up in a day or two. It doesn't need to be immediate.
I've
I'd be
already
interested.
talked to, or sent the gentleman in St. Joe an email that I want to attend, and I think I responded to yours, so I definitely would like to be there.
Okay,
This is Monday afternoon, correct?
it is. It starts at 1:30.
Yeah, I could probably do that. Do we know how long it's gonna take?
It's set for an hour and a half. I believe we have a city council work session sometime thereafter, so it shouldn't be more than an hour and a half, probably
Are we
closer
getting
to an hour.
compensated for it?
You should be, yeah. Yep.
I'd be willing to, if you put something together here or on the Zoom, I'm willing to do it.
Either way.
I mean, it can be both. If you'd rather watch it from the comfort of your own home, you could do that. But
I'd rather have you here running the Zoom.
yeah,
It's nice to have discussion,
Yeah, I mean, then if we're together with questions and stuff, be kind of nice.
the only thing is that if you're all together, then if there's a majority of you, then it's an open meeting and we have to publish it, which isn't a big deal. It's just something we have to announce. There should be, yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and put something, I'll put it on the calendar and I'll follow up in the next day or so, and anyone that wants to, welcome to attend. We got plenty of space, so we can do the meeting from downstairs and see how that system works. For what we've seen using it for the city council actions and some of those meetings, it works pretty well. Sometimes it's nice to be able to, do those meetings in a group manner and then put it on the screen, and it's pretty slick.
I'd be in for it, be less distraction than being in my office.
Sure. Well, that's all I had.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned at 6:54 with all present.